So let's see. All right. Well, hey, some of the same guys that we talked about last week that are out. Namely, I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Probably be out another 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. Well, they're wisely being cautious with him, and it's not like they were going to make a Super Bowl run this year. I mean, let's not be. I don't want to be mean, but their future is in the future. I mean, their future is not now.
Most definitely. But once again, you have a guy with so much talent, uh, but you also have a guy that's practically, because of that talent, immovable. And I'm sure, he's one of the few guys that you haven't heard about that's, really talking about trying to move or, you know, he seems to be very comfortable, but being comfortable, uh, it makes for a steady career, Bill, but does it make for a great career?
Well, okay, greatness means different things to different people. First of all, let's establish that greatness to one person is making piles and piles of cash, right? And there's some people, I don't think that's him, but there are some players who, I mean, somewhere Sam Bradford is, saying, "Oh, you can call me a bust all the way to the bank," right? I mean, I think his take home was what 144 million or something in his career. I mean, he did all right for himself. There's great. Some people define greatness by championship, some by statistics. I mean, there's a lot of ways to define greatness. When you're a running back in the NFL, and the modern NFL is no longer built around running backs for the most part, right? The modern NFL is built around your quarterback, then your wide receivers, then your running back, and in some cases, your tight end even breaks above. I'm looking at you, well, the 49ers when Kittle's healthy, and a few other teams, and obviously the Chiefs. Their tight end is way more important to them than any one running back or all of their running backs together, quite frankly. So the modern NFL has de-emphasized the running back. Now, that means that in fantasy, getting the right running back is even more important because all the other running backs are just kind of fungible, replaceable guys, right? Hey, give me 13 points and I'm happy, right? That's what you're looking at almost everybody outside of an elite small number of running backs in fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Okay, we can hear you now, Mike. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just trying to get through the week. Glad it's Saturday. How are you gentlemen doing this fine Saturday?
We're actually doing great. At least I am. As you can see, things have kind of changed in my background.
Yeah, it's very long.
And I'm wearing a T-shirt here that says K9, which I'm representing my boxing show. I'm actually in Los Angeles at my nephew's house, and I'm going to a amateur boxing reunion up here in LA today from from 12 to 4, depending on. Well, of course, that's depending on how long the show lasts. But at some time, I will be making an appearance there, and this is mostly boxers and amateur boxers, professional and amateur, from probably uh, Sugar Ray Leonard and on,
Wow.
I would say.
Okay.
Michael Nunn will be there. This is probably the first or second public appearance that he'll be making since he's been released from prison.
Right.
And he's now working with young kids and formerly incarcerated boxers and things like that. So I am making an appearance there, and this is just a shocking commercial doing the SPORTSKRIB. But anyway,
that's awesome. I think that'd be a great time. I didn't even know Michael Nunn went to prison, but I'm glad to hear that he's changed life around and working with kids, because it's so important with kids. Because if you could say I've been there and I've done that and this is how you do better, then that's all you can really do.
Yeah, that's I try to be that example myself. unlike Bill, I use my skills for entirely different purposes, but profitable nonetheless. But there are consequences. But anyway, that's another story, maybe for Sports Crib, really after dark.
Really?
Very much. Yes, yes.
Uh, but anyway, guys, let's get back to talking a little fantasy football. Mike, as you can see, I have a total pile of questions for you today.
Cool.
Before we make our predictions, and I'm sure Bill does too. Uh, and unlike Bill, Mike, I think you were around the 50% mark last week.
I didn't write. I think I need to write down my picks. I have no idea how I finished, but it was probably poor. I really did not do good with. I do much better fantasy picks than I do actually real life picks.
and, and that's the beauty of fantasy is that if your man does good, it's okay if your team well okay but
Yep.
you know
Yeah, I could
and
live with my team losing as long as my fantasy team wins.
and I do owe you an apology when I criticized Najee Harris last week. So I will also eat a bowl of crow. I will admit it. All right, Bill. Anything you want to go into Mike before we get to the questions?
So I had gone and picked up Samaje Perine, sort of as insurance and whatever with Mixon, and then of course now he went on the COVID-19 list.
Yeah.
Because the football gods really want to test my faith, and now I'm staring down the barrel of Chris Evans, which feels unsafe. If Is there someone other than Chris Harris I should be targeting if I am suddenly? I've had, like everyone else, I've had some running back cluster injuries where it's not just one. It's like, oh, really? What now? So obviously we talk about this every year with running backs because running backs get hurt. But you find, like I said, sometimes, some years, it's ridiculous. There was one year where it might have been 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year, where J.D. McKissick ended up being the starting running back for the Seattle Seahawks after they'd gone through about 4 different running backs.
I remember this. Yes, exactly. Yep.
So is there anything you can tell me about Chris Evans that'll either make me feel better about grabbing him or make me feel like I should not grab him and grab someone else instead?
I mean, I think it depends on. I mean, if you're looking at Chris Evans, there's probably not, if anything, available to you. Yeah, I mean, he might.
I can tell you what my other options are, and yes, they are not scintillating. I can assure you.
Yeah, shoot me some of the top options there.
I will give you some of the other best availables, and best in quotes, obviously. Let's see. In that particular league, my other options would include. Let me find the right league, first of all. That's why I keep telling myself I want to stick to about 5, and then every year I somehow end up doing 2, 3, or whatever more than I should. And then I get into a situation where as you said, you have to have a spreadsheet or something, and I haven't quite gotten to that point, but maybe I should get to the point where I have to have like a flow chart spreadsheet. Oh, something. Oh, actually, I can. My phone is actually probably a little faster, so let me do a little there. The good news for me is Antonio Brown. I was worried about the whole mouths to feed thing. Apparently, his mouth is going to get fed no matter what in Tampa Bay. So I guess I should slap him in the slot pretty much the flex pretty much all the time unless he's not playing.
Standard league, 24 points.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah. 24 points Thursday.
For a guy that some people thought
believe
was
me,
the third option.
It was a feast or famine because in the leagues that I had him, I was fine. In the leagues that he was against me, now I'm looking at somewhat of at least a 24-point deficit, if not more. and also surprisingly enough, there was only what I think Tom Brady had 28 scored a 28.5,
Yeah,
and Jalen
17.98 in standard leagues, and yeah, 20 whatever it is in PPR. Yeah.
yeah, and Jalen Hurts was only 3 points behind.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. He's definitely not good at football, but very good at fantasy football.
Fantasy
Yeah,
football. Right. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, and again, it was one of those things where I went down and I had to grab a quarterback at the last minute, and I had grabbed him, and worked out for me this week. You know, I'm not sure I'll start him next week, but he worked out great this week. Bill, did you
Yeah, so I'm
share?
looking at okay, so in this particular league, the other possible options, well, I do have Ramondre Stevenson and Jeremy McNichol right now.
Stevenson's not bad. Actually, I probably even lean more Stevenson than I would Chris Evans, just because I know Damian Harris is the lead back there, but
Yep.
there's a lot of rumors out there that Bill Belichick is pretty much done with Damian Harris, and I think a fumble or a miscue could really do him in.
Ended all, perhaps. Yeah.
You are looking at someone who might not get you 0 points, or with both of them are probably not are good bad at getting 0 points. But if I was to lean to someone who's going to give you at least a point or two, would be Chris Evans.
Okay, so the other options. Oh wait, these idiots left Jerick McKinnon out there. Oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Answer. Problem solved there.
Yeah, McKinnon by far over Evans.
Oh no, we're not even. Yeah, I'm doing this literally as we're speaking. This has happened.
All right, Mike. Let's get to the meat of this. Where do you want to start, Kareem Hunt or Christian McCaffrey?
We could start. We could do a little bit of both.
All right. Well, let's start with Hunt, since as we all know, Cleveland is my most favorite city in the world. So let's start there. So I don't have his backup. Excuse me, Nick Chubb is hurt, not Kareem Hunt. Nick Chubb is out, so I don't have Kareem Hunt, and I'm not quite in the same quandary as Bill, because this is just a PPR league, so there's not a lot of. There are a few choices out there. Most of them are, of course, third string running backs. But if I don't have Kareem Hunt, who do I look for on the waiver wire?
I think it depends on. Again, it depends sort of like on what your waiver wire looks like. I can tell you.
I'll look up the waiver wire right now as you speak. So let's see. But go ahead, and I'll tell you what's out there afterwards.
So what I have listed is, and probably some of these guys are already gone, but Devontae Booker, Alex Collins, Khalil Herbert is probably definitely gone. Mark Ingram. Yeah, Sam at the very least, like the very bottom scrapes.
Okay, here's the guys available in this league right now. Chuba Hubbard, Kenyon Drake.
Hubbard. There's your winner right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In every league where he was available, I hopped on him already.
Now McKissick is also available.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, Alex Collins is available. And Kenneth Gainwell.
No. Kenneth Gainwell already played anyways.
Right. Yeah, you can't do anything with him. And he didn't do that much because they've given up on running the football, almost gave up, and then they started running the football and it was working. Who knew?
Yeah, that was so weird. I was so mad.
I should not have started Jalen Reagor in the flex in that league. Oh, that killed me. Yeah, is right. But Brandon Ayuk's on a bye, and I don't know. I got nervous about throwing John Ross or or Deshaun Jackson in there. And I just picked up Preston Williams off of waivers. I should have picked him up earlier and thrown him in there. Well, why I have you? Defense.
Let's see.
Oh,
In this other league, let's see. We have here's one. It's a little a little more like it, I would guess. Um, we have Damian Harris, Al Dillon, AJ Dillon, Sony Michelle, uh, Collins, Tyson Williams, Mark Ingram, and Philip Lindsay.
I'd go Collins because
Yeah.
Carson is out, and you might get more than just 1 week out of Collins, anyways, just because that neck injury that Carson is suffering from really is he could be back next week. He might not be back. We don't know. Yeah.
And if he comes back, he might re-injure it.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So I'm looking at two defenses in this league. I'm looking at the Vikings or the Broncos. Broncos against the Raiders, Vikings against Carolina.
Yeah, I go Viking. I mean, Broncos. I'm sorry.
Broncos? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's address Mr. McCaffrey. If you don't have Chuba Hubbard, and fortunately or unfortunately, however the case may be, the week before when he put up a measly 3 points, I dropped Chuba Hubbard. So now Chuba Hubbard in this league is no longer available. So who do I pick as a backup for McCaffrey now?
So okay? I understand that situation. What are your options?
My options in that league are, let's see, running backs. Okay, my running backs available in that league are Devin Singletary, AJ Dillon, Kevin Drake, Sony Michelle, Tyson Williams, and Mark Ingram. Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm leaning either towards AJ Dillon for maybe like a cheap touchdown, or Mark Ingram. They play the Colts. Yeah, I wouldn't go with Mark Ingram. AJ Dillon, but don't. I mean, we're looking unless he scores a touchdown. Of course, you're probably looking at like 3 or 4 points.
But if I wanted now, looking at this, this happened to be a league where I had Brown, so I kind of have a 24-point head start here. Would the safe bet be Singletary because I know he's going to get me some points?
Yeah, I would say like Singletary and AJ Dillon are pretty close as far as points being scored. Let's see overall during the season what they're at.
I just need him this week. I don't care about the season. I just need him this week until McCaffrey gets back.
No, I hear you. I'm just trying to see overall what they've done. For the season, just to get a better idea on, what direction to go for you.
Okay, let's see. Singletary right now is
Singletary's 36 and Dillon's 44.
Yeah.
And Singletary has 45.5 points and Dillon has 40 points.
That's what I'm saying.
Pretty even, right?
Yeah.
I think I'd go Dillon because I've seen them use Dillon more in the goal line packages, and they're dumping the ball off a little bit to him. They're using him more. So, I'd have to lean Dillon in this one.
Okay. All righty. Now let's get into the stardom sit-em. And I'm going straight out of Matthew Berry's love and hate list this week with some of the matchups. So the first one is the Washington football team. These are going to be mostly quarterbacks. Taylor Heinicke versus the Chiefs. Start him or sit him.
Oh, I
Start him.
definitely start him.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
He's going to have probably a rushing touchdown and 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. Chiefs defense is miserable against
Yep.
the pass. They are, let's see, where are they ranked overall against the pass? They are 31st in fantasy points allowed against the pass.
Yeah. Yep. Start your Washington football team members who catch footballs or throw footballs.
Yep.
In that game.
Joe Burrows against the Lions. Maybe Dimitri saw my questions, and I don't know. But anyway, did he say he was going to that game this weekend, Bill? Michigan
He's
State.
going to a game. I don't know if he's going to. Is it Michigan? Is it Michigan State versus the other school?
That's next week.
That's right. Okay, that's right. So I think that might be that game he's planning to attend, but I'll have to check.
Yeah, because Michigan, unless he wants to travel to Indiana, Michigan's on the road. Michigan State. Michigan State's on the road.
Well, okay. So Joe Burrows against the Lions.
Yeah, there's another one you definitely want to go with. Detroit is, again, awful against the pass. So
Yep.
I think the Bengals are a bad enough team to at least keep it close where they're just not going to hand the ball off, midway through the fourth quarter.
Right. And once again, their running game is not the good part of their offense anyway. Like, even if you're trying to preserve a lead, you're probably throwing it short because you can't trust your running game to not go 3 and out.
And I know this next was just kind of a rhetorical question for you, Mike, but Carson Wentz against the Texans.
I love these rhetorical questions. Yeah, absolutely. Carson Wentz is looking very good out there. The last couple games, it's just the Colts haven't looked good enough. On Monday Night Football, it was more to the fact that they lost their entire secondary due to injury. But that offense is, and he's getting better inside that offense. So I absolutely love Carson Wentz against Houston.
Trevor Lawrence against the Dolphins.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is another one that's looking a lot better each week by week. He's climbing that mountain. And against that Dolphins secondary, easy. Carson Wentz, Taylor Heinicke, and all these guys are streaming right now. But if you're in a 2 QB league, or you got someone that's out, absolutely fire these guys up.
Right.
Let's see. Tannehill against the Bills.
That's a tough one. Tannehill has not played well. Tannehill's been awful, actually. He's over the season. Let's see. I think he's like QB 22, 28. He's not 20. I don't know where I got 28. He's QB 20. And he's just not looked good in that Bills secondary. That Bills defense overall is very good. So if I had a choice between Taylor Heinicke and Ryan Tannehill, Heinicke for sure.
Not even close.
I wouldn't even said that in the beginning of this season, but the way it's looking now, Heinicke, I would take Heinicke over Tannehill.
Okay, Kirk Cousins against the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't like that one. Kirk Cousins is sort of dropped down quite a bit over the last few weeks, and that Carolina Panthers secondary is very good.
Okay, let's hit a couple running backs here now. As I said, I did play the Crow last week. So what about Najee Harris against the Seahawks?
He should finish in top 5 once again. Seattle defensive front is garbage. Their secondary outside of Jamal Adams, he's probably the best tackler on the team, and he plays safety. So that shows you how bad they are at stopping the run.
He's also the best pass rusher on the team. He plays safety, so that's not ideal.
Yeah, no, exactly. You want sort of either your defensive end or your one of the linebackers to be that way, but yeah, for sure, Najee Harris should finish in the top 5.
James Robinson against the Dolphins.
Again, yeah, James Robinson, loving James Robinson.
Against anybody.
Yeah,
James Robinson is a sneaky must start to me.
he is, because this is a lot of people still don't recognize him as one of the best running backs.
Yes.
I actually did a sort of a statistical dive on James Robinson, and in the last 2 seasons, James Robinson has finished in the top 24 running backs 75% of the time.
Yep.
You know who else has finished in the top 24 running backs 75% of the time? Derrick Henry.
Oh, Henry. So Zeke probably not even that.
No, he's not that. Nope.
So this would blow a lot of people's minds, but a better fantasy football running back is James Robinson over Ezekiel Elliott. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually would take James Robinson over Ezekiel Elliott right
now. Daniel Henderson Jr. versus the Giants.
I like Darrell. He's good. He's good. I think you could put him in as an RB2. The Washington football team's defense disappeared from last year. I don't know what happened, but they just left the planet. And Darrell Henderson is a stud. So yeah, I like Henderson in an RB2 kind of flex area.
Right. If you think about this, if you can trot out James Robinson and Darrell Henderson, you're likely to be a good day.
Oh yeah.
If those are your 2 running backs, you're gonna do okay.
Darrell Williams versus the Washington football team.
That's a tough one. I think Darrell Williams is going to be, even though I said Darrell Henderson, Washington, I meant the Giants. Outcome is pretty much the same. As far as Williams against Washington football team, I think it's going to be a dicey situation, maybe a flex play at most, just because Williams and McKinnon are going to share the load quite a bit. It's not going to be like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as we've known, doesn't really get many points anyways. He's usually finishing in the, anywhere between 18 and 25. Now that role is going to be divvied up. So you're looking at RB30 kind of range. So if you're in desperate need for a flex option, maybe not desperate, but want a flex option, Darrell Williams is probably that.
Javonte Williams versus the Broncos.
Wait, Javonte Williams plays for the Broncos.
I mean, excuse me. Hold it.
The Raiders. Yeah, I'm following you. That's a tough one too. I think pretty much around the Darrell Williams area. You could be okay putting him in a flex, but nothing more than the flex.
And Josh Jacobs against the Broncos.
Yeah, same way. Flex only. The Broncos defense is very good, and Josh Jacobs is mediocre. So, yeah, flex option only.
Well, sadly to say, Josh Jacobs is my alternative to Christian McCaffrey. So hopefully you're wrong, but we'll see. I mean, it was that or else going to draft Mark Ingram. So I thought I'd stick with,
I think you went right with Josh Jacobs over Ingram.
So let's few wide receivers here. We talked about Najee. What about Devontae against the Seahawks and that secondary?
Yeah, I think anytime you go with Deontay Johnson is this must start every week, no matter who they're facing. You have to get him in the lineup. He is just he's not one of the better receivers. Like if you're looking at the 3 receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster is now out, but if you're looking at him, Juju, and then you're looking at Claypool and you're looking at Johnson, both Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster are better talented receivers, but that connection between Roethlisberger and Deontay Johnson is what matters, and especially in fantasy football, and that's what goes on. So Deontay Johnson every week.
This is kind of a rhetorical question also. Jamar Chase against the Lions.
Yeah, that is definitely a play that you're going to want. Jamar Chase to me is another one of those players that you want to put in your lineup every single week. Even though he's a rookie, we're already in week 6, and through week 5, he's in the top 10 of wide receivers. So yeah, he he's definitely in every week for me.
Emmanuel Sanders versus the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans secondary is pitiful. The Bills, Josh Allen loves Emmanuel Sanders, loves him more than Stephon Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders every week is he's not you won't see him in the top as far as targets, you won't see him in the top of the yards, you won't see him in the top of touchdowns, but he is the most consistent wide receiver the Bills have. So if especially if you're looking at consistency or if you're looking at a flex play, which Emmanuel Sanders is, and you want to secure that floor, then Emmanuel Sanders is definitely your guy.
Jacoby Myers versus the Cowboys.
I like Jacoby Myers a lot. He's another one that puts 5 receptions together. He'll get you double digit points nearly every single week, and that's what you want out of your flex. If you're looking at starting him as your wide receiver 2 or something to that effect, and I'm like, okay, either your league is very deep or it has too many teams in it. So Jacoby Myers is one of those automatic starts at the flex position for me.
Okay, a couple tight ends before I turn you over to Bill. Ricky Seals Jones against the Chiefs.
That's one of the things that Taylor Heineke likes to do is target the tight end.
Yep.
And with Ricky Seals Jones as their tight end until Logan Thomas does come back, I like it almost every week as well, especially when we're looking at the tight ends as we are now. As we talk about the top 5 tight ends are your consistent tight ends. Outside of that, you're not going to find consistency. But Ricky Seals Jones is one of those guys outside of that top 5 that I can say, okay, he's probably going to do more than the rest of the blob guys are going to do.
Dalton Schultz against the Pats.
Yeah, for him every week too. He's an every week starter now for me. He's part of that top 5 tight end group. Maybe top 6 now with Dalton Schultz, but yeah, every week he should be started.
Bill, you got some questions?
Sure.
Anybody I didn't cover?
So if you have both Schultz and Hawkinson, which one are you starting?
Right now, I'm starting Schultz. I mean, you want to start Hawkinson because you drafted him a lot earlier than you drafted Schultz, but
Right.
until Hawkinson can have that game, I just think the way that the Cowboys offense is running right now, where it's Ezekiel, or Tony Pollard, Ezekiel, then Dalton Schultz. It's I mean,
Right.
the Mari Cooper is not getting a lot of targets. CeeDee Lamb is not getting a lot of targets. It's really just come down to run, dump the ball off to Dalton Schultz.
Got it. So we don't talk place kickers a lot, but place kickers have been a lifesaver for me in years when I'm struggling at other positions if I get the right place kickers and the right weeks. So I'm looking at either Michael Badgley or Greg Joseph, Badgley of the Colts, or as you probably know, or Greg Joseph of the Vikings. And
I'd go Badgley just because, and it's not really a homerism situation. It's because the Colts struggle so badly in the goal line area. They're really a bad team when it comes to getting those 6 points, but they can drive the ball down the field. So that's sort of like what I like to look at as far as kickers go, because it's like, how good of an offense are you, and do you struggle in the red zone? And that's pretty much the Colts. Is they struggle in the red zone, which leads to a lot of points for your kicker.
okay.
Let me ask you. My kicker was Blankenship, and as we know, he's out. But when I look on kickers that are available, the first one that I see is Cosby. And I'm saying to myself, he's never going to have another Sunday like he had last week. I should pick him up for the rest of the season. The Packers bye week is what, week 13?
Mm. I like that. Those are one of the reasons. It's one of the things I look at when I'm drafting my kicker is when is your bye week, because all the kickers pretty much, unless you're just a horrible offense like the Jets, you're never going to draft their kicker just because they're just not going to put any points. But for the most part, from top 1 to 20, you're going to see not much of a drop off, which is one of the reasons why they're always drafted late in the drafts. But one of the things that I look for is when is their bye week, because I can draft one kicker and just sit on him and just play him every week and then not have to worry about it until week 10 or 11 or whatever week it is. So I like that idea.
Go ahead, Bill.
Just trying to think if there's anything else I can do to fix this semi-disaster of a lineup. So Aaron Rodgers, I feel pretty good about. Once again, it's a deep league, as we talked about. So I've asked Myles Gaskin and Naeem Hines. Devontae Adams, thank you. Thank you. Praise Jesus, Devontae Adams. Justin Jefferson, because I always draft wide receivers early. The aforementioned Dalton Schultz, the Broncos defense, and thanks to you, Michael Badgley. On my bench, Brandon Ayuk's on a bye. I have Deshaun Jackson, Pat Freiermuth. It's a keeper league, so Freiermuth's really a for next year kind of thing. Jonathan Ross, Chris Evans, the Vikings defense, Preston Williams, and then on IR I have Michael Gallup. And then just looking briefly at the waiver wire, and once again, it's a deep league, so there's not too many hidden gems to be mined there. But the waiver wire, the lovely, lovely waiver wire, consists of people such as Khalif Raymond, who I did pick up in one league, Kendrick Bourne, Kadero Hodge, Duvernay, who just played, Cameron Brate, Freddie Swain, Jalen Guyton, Jamal Agnew, Deontay Johnson. So that's somebody I may want to consider. Ryan Nall, Danny Amendola, Royce Freeman, Dimey Brown, Josh Gordon. Somebody will probably pick him up just for giggles and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But Josh Gordon, Adam Humphries, Evan Ingram. Boy, how the mighty have fallen, Evan Ingram. DeMarcus Robinson. Let's see, which D Carter? Oh, DeAndre Carter. James Washington, Chris Conley, Gerald Everett. You get an idea. Mo Alley Cox, etc. Jeremy McNichols is available. Anybody else who's even vaguely interesting? Don't look great for the most part, but let me see if there's anyone else who might. Tavon Austin, Demetric Felton. Oh, Rashad Higgins. So the most intriguing names. Oh, and Donald Parham. It's a keeper league. I may want to consider him because I think he's going to someday take over the tight end position in San Diego. So of the names you've heard, anybody that I should consider, and once again, it is a keeper league. So if you think someone's going to have a big 2020, 2 or whatever, or 22 or 23 even, I would be willing to consider them as well, at least for the bench.
You said Deontay Johnson was available?
Well, let me make sure that's right. Let me see. I think that's who it is. Let me just confirm. Obviously just put D. I want to make sure that is the right job. Let me make sure that is who let me see. Is it? I'll go back and double check. Where'd he go? Oh, he should be right around here. Where did I see him? Let me scroll back up. There's James Washington, Chris Conley. Should be somewhere around here. Albert Wilson. No, it probably isn't Deontay, is it? No, wait, who is it? Oh, no, it certainly is not. What was I saying? No, it is. Who is this D. Johnson? This D. Johnson is, it's Duke. Never mind.
Oh, Duke Johnson, the running back. Okay.
No, it's Duke Johnson. I should have been more. Yeah.
No, it's cool. I was just surprised. I mean,
no.
Things happen. Those things happen.
Occasionally, right. Yeah, occasionally. You're right. So slip through for some reason. Kyle Rudolph. Yeah. Kyle the Mighty fall for you too.
As far as next year, No. There's nobody there really, unfortunately, for next year. Maybe Cleve, if you're struggling at wide receiver, Cleve Raymond, until a wide receiver pops up for the Lions that is, worth anything. I mean, I know Monroe St. Brown is sort of creeping up, but Cleve Raymond is, he's sort of been steady.
Well, let me ask you this question real quick. Obviously, O.J. Howard's played already.
Right.
But is he a player that you think, if not for Tampa Bay, then maybe for another team next year becomes a, top 8-ish tight end for somebody?
I think it's possible depending on so let's just say he moves on from Tampa Bay. I think it's possible depending on the team he lands on. If he goes to a team that, of course, is not utilizing the tight end very much, then
right,
it doesn't matter really who you are. But so yeah, I would just say it's cool to pick him up and see where he goes, and if you might hit on it if you have the depth, the bench space, and see exactly where it goes. And if he goes somewhere where you're just like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen, then you can drop him. But if he does go somewhere, say he ends up in the Colts or something, you can be like, okay, well, I'm already ahead of the game. So I think it would just depend on your bench space and just a chance of he might be just good for this year too. With Rob Gronkowski being out and Tom Brady loving that tight end position.
He does. That's true.
I want to.
How far off are we?
I want to ask you one more question about that tight end position, because I also picked up Tunyon because, of course, last year he was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets. And also, his bye week is week 13. But he hasn't really produced. Now, I'm looking on the waiver wire, and I have Hunter Henry immediately available, and I have the recently traded Zach Ertz on waivers. So, should I keep Tunyon? Has he become expendable and pick up one of these two? And considering where Ertz went, how much does he move up in his position?
I think he moves up from where he was with the Eagles a couple spots, maybe 5 spots. It's not a whole lot. If the Cardinals didn't have DeAndre Hopkins and Rondell Moore and AJ Green and I forget who else is there. What's his name?
Chase Edmonds.
And the other wide receiver is as you can see, there's just a buffet of players there that Kyler Murray can choose from to throw the ball to. I would be much more excited about Zach Ertz. As far as Hunter Henry, there's less options, but you have Mac Jones throwing the ball. So I would say it's pretty even. It looks like Hunter Henry is the guy, the tight end that Mac Jones is favoring over Johnny Smith. So it's pretty close interchangeably. I if you have room, I'd pick up both. If not, I'd probably go.
Well, I mean, who carries 3 tight ends?
Right. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I there are times when my bench is just where I have the space, and I'm just sort of trying to decide on which guy I want to get. But not on a routine basis are you going to carry 3 tight ends. So yeah, I would probably lean towards Hunter Henry, but yeah, definitely get rid of Robert Tonyan. Yeah, he needs to go.
Anything before we get into predictions, Bill?
So, speaking of cluster injuries at the running back position, in one of my leagues, things got so bad that I picked up Kyle Juszczyk, but he's on a bye. So,
yeah, I know. There was a couple times where I was gonna pick him up too in my deeper leagues, and then I'm like, then you see the big old B sign right next to it, and you're just like,
So Juszczyk on a bye. So my running back bench, oh God, help me. Right now is Travis
that bad.
Homer, the aforementioned Samaj P. Ride, who got himself exposed to COVID, Chris Carson, who's injured. Things were so bad, but I still resisted the issue to throw Jones in there, and thankfully I did not, because he would have given me 3.9 points. But I'm now staring down the barrel currently of Tyson Williams. Because, I mean, it's not great. So I had Gus Edwards at the beginning of the year, and he was like doing things. It's like that he got hurt. And then I had Chris Carson. So going back in time, at one point I had Eckler, Gus Edwards, and
Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
And Chris Carson, thank you. Carson, of course, is hurt. Edwards is not just hurt, but on IR, I believe.
Yes,
Edwards
is done for the season.
Yeah, yep, done for the season, which is not, bad news for worse news for him, but bad news for me. So thank God, Austin Eckler, who sometimes himself gets nicked up, is thus far held up fairly well. But it's so bad. I mean, when you're disappointed that Kyle Juszczyk is on a bye, it lets you know what things are going on for you. I mean, do I just throw Tyson Williams out there and grit my teeth, or do I make a trade? Or
I mean, if you can make a trade, that'd be great for you. Just you definitely don't want to sacrifice. It depends on where you're at as far as your record wise. And
well, I think I'm 4-2 if memory serves me correctly. In fact, I can find that and tell you in a second. And thanks to Antonio Brown, I'm off to a good start for this week. So yeah, Josh Allen has done fairly well for me. Eckler's been healthy. AJ Brown's been a little bit of a disappointment, but at least he's getting healthier. Antonio Brown, God bless you. Tyler Higbee, DJ Moore, who was my flex, but is now my wide receiver 2, thanks to the struggles of one Mr. AJ Arthur Brown Jr. And it's a super flex league. Oh, right. Jameis Winston's on a bye. Woo! Okay.
And guys, I just want you to know something, that you can all start AJ Brown this week, because after the advice that I have been given, I decided to put him on the bench this week. So I know that he will have an outstanding game.
Yeah.
So
I hate when it works out that way. He's just like, forget about it, and then he's on your bench, and he's 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I was wrong on Najee, but I have to hold my ground on AJ.
You've nailed AJ Brown for sure. Yeah, I definitely tip my hat to that one.
Another wide receiver that we have to talk about, and I do this every week because he is one of my favorite guys, fantasy point wise. Mike Williams.
Oh yeah. Yep. One bad week.
You can talk to me all you want about Keenan Allen, but I'm starting Mike Williams.
Oh yeah.
Sure. So now I just realized I need to pick up somebody to throw into the Superflex spot and maybe make a trade for a running back. So there's not a lot out there because it's a deeper league. Oh, please, God. Yeah, I'm going to have to move some things around in my lineup. So the waiver wire, once again, fairly deep league, consists of people like Zach Pascal, Spanish Cole Beasley, Rashard Higgins, Jamal Agnew, the aforementioned A.J. Howard, Keelan Cole, Chris Moore. And of course, Howard just played, so he wouldn't be available next week. Chris Moore.
I want you to know I just got, 300 emails concerning Spanish Cole Beasley.
So for those who missed the week when I dubbed Braxton Berrios Spanish Cole Beasley, I feel very good about that. I think it might catch on. But he is very much, essentially, a Spanish Cole Beasley.
Yes.
But yes, Michael Pruitt, Brandon Zylstra, who was lightning in a bottle, but I don't think he'll ever be lightning in a bottle again. Chris Conley was another 1 week wonder, but I think his week has now passed. Jalen Guyton, James Proche, Mohamed Sanu, Zay Jones, John Ross, who also was lightning in a bottle at one point. Jody Fortson, Lee Smith, Greg Ward. Well, Greg Ward's not until Wednesday or whatever. He's playing. Ian Thomas, Pharaoh Brown, Danny Mendola. Oh, sweet God. Ross Dwelle, Marquise Goodwin, Tavon Austin, Foster Moreau, Alec Ingold. Oy.
Bill, you got guys I'd never heard of.
Oh, I've certainly heard of these guys, which is why the look on my face. I'm all too aware of them and their works.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, thank God my league's not that deep.
Oh yeah, I played. You know me, I always play in deep leagues because I love the pain.
Yeah. I usually try not to go past page 4 on the waiver wire.
Oh man, it is ugly. Is there any team that you think might get into such a blowout that they put in their backup quarterback, and I pick up a cheapy backup quarterback for Superflex?
And just pray. I think of all those names that you mentioned, I think what's his name? Zach Pascal is the guy.
All righty. Well, he's about to join the lineup. All right. Here it comes.
Especially against that Houston matchup. I can definitely get behind that.
So now once again it's a keeper league. But so who am I dropping? So on my bench I have Travis Homer, who I only picked up because Chris Carson got hurt, but it looks like Travis Homer is not the preferred option there.
No, that's Collins.
That's Collins. So he's a possible drop. I'm going to put Brandon Cooks in my super flex.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm dropped. Well, I'm only on the use check just in case, I guess. But I'm either dropping Perrine. I'm holding on to Carson. He's just hurt. I could drop Ronald Jones. I could drop Travis Homer. Cooks is going into my superflex. Can't drop him. Could drop Khalif Raymond. Samuel's on a bye. I'm not dropping him. Devin Duvernay. Michael Strahan is a guy I'm keeping for the future, and it's a keeper league. Ricky Seals-Jones I'm holding on to because he's going to be my tight end for bye week. And I could drop Robert Tonyan, who you said apparently is droppable. So that's my bench.
The worst one of all that is probably Homer.
Okay, well, Travis Homer, you are departing the team. You can leave your playbook. We appreciate all you've done for the franchise.
We hope you catch on somewhere else.
I'm sure he will. Somebody will give him a chance.
All right, guys, let's get to these week 6 predictions. Wow, I even skipped over. But anyway, and maybe I can get to the convention sometime today. Anyway, it's LA. Whole different traffic pattern out here, buddy.
Yeah, it was going to take you 3 hours to go 20 minutes.
Precisely, and that's exactly how far this is supposed to be away, 20 minutes. So let's hope, once again, like your fantasy predictions for A.J. Brown, that these are way off, buddy. But anyway, otherwise, it ends at 4, and I'll be there at 4:15. But anyway, let's start. Let's get right off here. As you know, I always start with the Thursday night game, which is really not week 6, but you could call it week 7. But anyway, so let's see. This Thursday night pairing will be Denver at Cleveland.
I think I'm gonna go Browns, and then the players there. Cortland Sutton, maybe. Let's see what he does Sunday before you get excited about Cleveland next week, and then
On a short week at that.
yeah, exactly. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, if they're healthy, that's pretty much it out of this group.
No wide receivers from Cleveland.
Nah, not really. Yeah, Jarvis Landry, not really. If he's healthy,
Jarvis Landry's still. I have him as far as I see him right now. He's still on IR.
yeah. I don't know if he can be back for that game or not. I don't know exactly, but even if he is, he's still kind of like not really. So yeah, not really any wide receivers outside of Portland.
He's another one. If and as I said before, I have a team where I have Judy on IR already, and now I have Jarvis Landry.
Mm-hmm.
Should I still hold on to Judy and Landry? Is it time should I get rid of one? Should I try to trade one?
You're probably not going to get much if you try to trade right now, unless it's a dynasty league for Judy. I wouldn't let go. If you've held on to him this long, you probably have enough room in your bench to be okay with it. So,
well, I have Judy on IR, and I have of course Landry on the bench, and I'm pretty decent at wide receivers. So it's not. This is just a question. This is not an immediate need like Bill.
what I would do is probably wait until Judy comes back, and if you're doing fine without him, then wait until he comes back, and then if he has a good game, then try to trade him then.
There you go, trade high, baby. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because right now, if you're going to go out and try to trade Jerry Judy, and I wouldn't let him go, just to answer your question, but I wouldn't let either one of them go. You probably could Landry if you're looking to let go of somebody. I would definitely Landry's probably the guy to do that. But you want with Judy, you definitely want to wait until he goes off and then trade him because he has a lot of value just attached to his name, and then if he does well, then that confirms everybody's thoughts and beliefs about him.
Okay, the early game tomorrow in London, I guess. Miami at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's considered the home team. So, what's your thoughts here? And who should I? Is there anyone here on either one of the? I mean, we talked about Trevor Lawrence. We talked about the Miami secondary. So we talked about running backs. Your thoughts here? According to your fantasy value, the players are with Jacksonville, but where's the actual football game?
Yeah, and don't you guys think it's interesting that Miami and Jacksonville are playing in London? Two Florida teams got to travel to London to play at 6:30 in the morning. Well, it's 6:30 our time, anyways, right, James? So as far as players go, Myles Gaskin, maybe James Robinson for sure, and that's about it.
And the winner is?
Oh, and the winner is Miami. We're going to go with Miami.
Bill?
So the two Florida teams in London, and what was the other game?
No, there was only one. Just the two Florida teams.
Oh, okay.
Did you do?
Yeah, I'm also rocking with Miami, but look for it to be ugly and low scoring. And I mean, I would start either defense over most offensive players on either team, quite frankly. Hopefully Gaskin, since I'm starting him, will at least, 11 and a half. Hopefully. Come on, Miles, you can do it. I think there'll be at least one big play in the passing game, but I think it will not go to a wide receiver, at least for the Miami. I think it'll actually go to Gesicki. I think Mike Gesicki is going to end up maybe being the leading point scorer for the Miami Dolphins, but certainly one of the leading scorers. I think he's going to outscore any of the wide receivers and maybe even outscore Gaskin. I mean, I guess Tua, if Tua has a good game, maybe he runs for one and throws for a couple, so he might have a decent game. But I don't think he's going to throw for a lot of yards, though. I get the feeling he's going to throw for like 208 yards, but might get a couple of passing and one rushing touchdown.
What were you saying, Mike?
Well, did we get word that if Tua Tagovailoa is playing, or is it Jacoby Brissett this week?
Well, have they made an announcement yet? I think Tua has been cleared to play, but I don't think they've announced the starter.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. Nobody's announced the starter, but Brissett, I think maybe will start, and but we'll see. But like you said, no starter's been named yet.
And then obviously, if it is indeed Jacoby over Tua Tagovailoa, that helps if you do have Mike Gesicki, because he loves tight ends.
He does, and I agree. I think with Tua, it's probably a different story for Mike Gesicki, but if Jacoby's in there, then you definitely roll Mike Gesicki. He would be someone I would say startable. I just don't know who's going to be the quarterback in that game.
Yes, and that's how they want it. They don't want you to know.
Yeah, they don't want you to know for sure.
Well, the next two games, Mike, you certainly will know who the starting quarterback is. Green Bay at Chicago and Cincinnati at Detroit. So we know who those four quarterbacks are. So
for
any
sure.
of them, any of them we should start, any of them we should sit. But go ahead. Let's start with Green Bay at Chicago. Play them, sit them, winner.
Aaron Rodgers, of course, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, the trio there. And then for Chicago, I guess Khalil Herbert for a flex option. That's about it. I mean, we're talking about a 6th-round draft.
That was not said with a lot of conviction.
yeah, exactly. It's just been that bad of an offensive team for Chicago, where Allen Robinson, perennial, is in the top 14, is now like a wide receiver 55.
He's on a milk carton. Come on.
He is definitely on a milk carton. And so Khalil Herbert's the best option they have, a 6th-round pick. That out of Green Bay, and then I got to go Green Bay here. As far as Cincinnati and Detroit, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. For Detroit, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams for flex, maybe. Outside of that, nobody. TJ Hawkinson, you guys still roll with him. And then I'm going to go Cincinnati.
Okay. I roll with Swift as so far as my flex. I've kept him in there. I've been, like I said, my wide receivers are pretty good. Up until the loss of Christian, and of course throwing Chuba back on the waiver wires. But now I find myself I might have to put Swift up there and put somebody else in the flex. But yeah, he's got expected points. He hasn't been overwhelming, but he's been consistent. So I'm satisfied with Swift. Mm-hmm. Bill, your 2 picks and thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm going to agree
Chicago on Green first. Bay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on Green Bay. I'm probably going to regret this, but shout out to Demetrius Verdes. I'm going to do it again. I keep doing it. I'm going to predict the Lions get their first win of the season. I'm probably going to hate myself later for this. Demetrius, I'm doing this for you, buddy. The Lions have to win a game at some point. I refuse to believe they're going to go 1-17. And this seems like as good a time as any for them to get a win. I think there's a strip sack somewhere in there, maybe a tip ball interception, short field, that kind of thing. A couple of short fields because their offense sputters when they have to go the full length of the field. So maybe they get a couple of short fields. Maybe they get a good kick, punt return to set up another short field. And they squeak out 24 points to 20 for their first win of the season.
Okay.
That'd be shameful if they went 0-17, in 2003 15, something to that effect. And then
Yeah,
now
Dan
they go 0 and
Orlovsky
18.
will wear that obviously the rest of his life. But yes, and Rod Marinelli, a very fine defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, he'll have to hear the rest of his life about that. Yeah.
Bill, we're also at some point going to have to get your views on Santa Claus, but that's another show. Uh, Mike, Houston at Indianapolis, the Rams at the Giants. Winners, losers, sit-ems, pick-ems.
So with Houston and Indianapolis, Houston, Brandon Cooks, Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor, and then
Houston get its first win of the year too. Oh no, that's Bill. Oh, no,
and the winner is Indianapolis. They should win that game. They're favored by 10 of all things, so they definitely should. But this game,
I don't know about covering the 10, but yeah, they should definitely win that game.
Yeah, 10 points seems like an awful lot, but I don't know. The Texans, what was it, 2 weeks ago against, I can't remember who it was. They were the line was like 15, I think, or something to that effect, and it was just like, wow.
The Bills.
Was it? Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it's the Bills.
Yes. This game, if you want a lot of action, you're not going to get it because the over-under is 43.5 points. So I guess you're almost looking at like 28 to whatever. I don't know how to do that math, but somewhere around there. And then Rams and Giants. The Rams, of course, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, and Darrell Henderson. And there's like 5 more players in the last 5 teams combined that we just talked about. And then as far as the Giants are considered, maybe Kadarius Toney, depends on how many players are out for the Giants.
Is Toney good to go? Is he himself healthy?
I think so. I think he's okay. I don't know if he got suspended for that punch either. Yeah. So I'd have to double check that. I'm not 100% sure. And maybe Devontae Booker, maybe. I don't know. It depends. I put him in the flex only. But outside of that, there's no one on the Giants that I like.
Bill, so ashes and soot for Houston, I guess, but go ahead.
As I know this. A lot of people are backing the under. I think there might be even a defensive touchdown mixed in there, but I think it might get to 45 points, which would means that the over to me is a smart play. And then for the winner, yes, I do not. Well, the Texans did pick up a win already, but I'm not picking them to pick up a second win.
That's right. Yeah, they did.
And what was the other game?
Lost the Rams at the Giants.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, Giants. Yeah, that could be a game where they could cover 10 points. Actually, the Giants don't have anything on defense that really frightens you. I mean, they're not a bad defense, but they're not a defense that makes a lot of big explosive plays on defense. So they don't get a lot of great. They don't have a great pass rusher. They have a solid secondary, right? Bradbury is good. They have guys who are solid. The linebacker core is, good, solid, professional football players. But there's nobody you think, oh my God, how do we stop that guy? They don't have an Aaron Donald, right? They don't have, none of the guys that keep you up at night as an offensive coordinator or as an offensive line coach. You're not scheming up how to stop anybody on the defense for the Giants. And the Giants' offense is full of walking wounded the last I checked. I think Slayton and Shepard are expected to be back, but not 100%. Toney, I have to check on him if he's either injured or suspended himself, but I guess he's probably going to play. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is out. Booker is one of those sexy, waiver wire pickups. A lot of people snapped up. I think he's going to drop off a bit this week, but yeah, the Rams should. To me, if you're looking for somebody who might cover a 10-point spread, I think it might be this team. The Rams should win handily.
So I just looked into Kadarius Toney, and he is expected to play on Sunday.
Is good. Yeah.
Mike, let's see. Kansas City at Washington football team, and Minnesota at the Panthers. And just so once again, Mike, the guy that's sitting on the bench beside AJ Brown is Mr. Thielen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So go ahead. Yeah, your thoughts here.
Yeah, for sure. Disappointing too because he started off very strong and then now has just done absolutely nothing. So as far as the Chiefs and football team, the Chiefs, of course, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, Travis Kelsey. How could I forget Travis Kelsey? And then football team, I like Taylor Heineke in a streaming situation, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin. And if you're sort of risk averse, those kind of things, or less risk averse, as I should say, Ricky Steele Jones could be a good play there.
There we go.
I don't know who to pick in this game because Washington is not good, and neither are the Chiefs. But since both teams aren't very good, I'm going to go with the team that's less bad, and that's Kansas City. And then the next game we have is Minnesota and Carolina. Dalvin Cook should go. So you want to get him in that lineup, and Justin Jefferson. As far as Carolina, Chuba Hubbard is an okay play in a flex spot. DJ Moore, of course. And
Yep.
I'll go back with Sam Darnold. He had a bad game. Everybody wants to dump on him because he's had a bad game. He's Sam Darnold from the Jets and all this other stuff. And it's just like, no. So, yeah, I'll roll with Sam Darnold against the Vikings as well. And I'll go with Carolina in the game.
Bill?
So yeah, I think it's a get right game for the Chiefs. I think this team will go back to looking like the team people thought the Chiefs were going to be. The once very vaunted pass rush of the Washington football team has been defanged. I'm not sure what's going on there, but last year people were saying, this is about to be the best defensive line in football, and I don't know if they read all that too and believed it, and thought they were just going to be the best defensive line in football, and then didn't put in all the work they needed to. I don't know. Their defense was the best part of their team last year, and they're not. Oddly enough, their offense has been very effective. They have some interesting young players at a bunch of positions. Their offensive line has been a mixed bag, but when Heineke has time or when he creates time with his feet, he's able to make big plays down the field, which is not something that I think some people were expecting. It was something I was expecting because I've been watching Taylor Heineke since he was 19. A kid who set all the records at Old Dominion University and still holds all the passing records at Old Dominion University and holds a bunch of high school records too. I mean, he passed for 734 yards in a game once, I believe. So not a guy who's afraid to push the ball down the field. But yeah, get right game for the Chiefs, and then it was Vikings and Carolina. I think it's a bounce back game for Darnold, a bounce back game for the rest of the Panthers. And the Vikings, remember when we talked about which head coach gets fired first? Remember we talked about that? And who'd I pick, guys?
Who was it? What's the name of the Vikings head coach?
Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer.
I'm just letting you know that the wheels are being greased, the skids, all the things are being greased for Mike Zimmer to slide on out of there. This game is going to be, I think, one more step on the banana peel.
All right. Now, these next two games, gentlemen, I have a big stake in a lot of this. I've started a lot of Cardinals, started even a few more Chargers. As a matter of fact, in one league, I started Herbert over Jackson. So, Mike, the Chargers at the Ravens, and the Cardinals at the Clowns. I mean Browns.
So with that said, Justin Herbert for sure, Austin Eckler for sure, Mike Williams for sure, Keenan Allen for sure. Um, just so many weapons in that Chargers offense that are just playmakers that you don't even want to think twice. You just put them in your lineup.
I started Herbert and Williams, and I think those were the
Eckler?
two.
Yeah, Eckler
Eckler.
too.
In this particular league, I do. Yeah.
So yeah,
So
Herbert and
I have
Williams.
Herbert. As I said, Jackson is my backup, so I did start Herbert. Eckler, I started. McCaffrey was his running mate, which that doesn't work anymore. So now I'm thinking, as I said, it's either DeAndre Swift staying in the flex spot and moving somebody else up, or putting Swift in running back number two, and possibly putting a wide receiver in the flex spot. So lot of flexibility there. But am I right in starting Herbert over Jackson?
I would. I Lamar Jackson had a fantastic game last week against the Colts, but if the first half he struggled pretty mightily. He couldn't really get much going. The defenders went down. He got better and better and had statistically a great game. But he's only had really two great games this season, and that secondary of the Chargers is really good. So unless he runs for 150 yards and scores, 3 touchdowns, then which is quite possible with Lamar Jackson. I mean, you can't really take that away from him because he is that kind of a player. But I lean more towards what's more concrete evidence, and Justin Herbert to me should be able to outpoint Lamar Jackson this week. And then with that said, Lamar Jackson, unless you have Justin Herbert or one of the top 5 guys, Marquise Brown, who's having a fantastic season, Mark Andrews.
That's a good matchup there. Who do you start, if Marquise Brown or Keenan Williams?
Or which one, Keenan Allen or Mike Williams?
Keenan Allen, I'm sorry, or no, Mike Williams is starting. That's
okay. Yeah, I'd probably go Marquise Williams over Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is doing good. Keenan Allen is doing Keenan Allen things, catching a lot of passes, catching a lot of yards, going for a lot of yards, those kind of things. What he hasn't done is get into the end zone. I think he only has 1 touchdown this year, so that's really affecting his. If he gets in the end zone like one more time than he's at where he normally is, wide receiver 15, 14, that kind of spot. But Marquise Brown to me seems to be a lot more consistent, getting in the end zone almost every week. I think he has, outside of that week, what was it, week 3, when he dropped 2 passes in the end zone or something that effect. So, I definitely would go Marquise Brown over Keenan Allen.
Okay, well, go ahead. You can go ahead and give us, the rest of your.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna go Chargers here in the victory, and then the next game, Cardinals and Browns. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and then I think that's it. As far as the Browns are considered, no Nick Chubb, so Kareem Hunt. That's it. Kareem Hunt, that's the only guy I can count on.
Bill.
So we're going with which games in what order?
We're going the Chargers at Baltimore, and then Arizona at Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers, and you said, Chargers and Arizona. I think those might be the 2 best teams in football right now, actually. I would not be shocked if, well, maybe not. Yeah. I mean, I think at some point Arizona will come down to earth a little bit, but I guess at this very moment, those might be the 2 best teams or complete teams right now.
Yeah. I have to ride with the Cardinals just because of the name of that other team. But anyway, uh, uh, okay, let's see. Uh, well, these a little easier for you. I thought maybe a couple little lobs. Las Vegas at Denver, Dallas at New England. Mike, who do we start? Who do we sit?
Oh, the Raiders right now are just, I don't know. I feel confident in Carr, Hunter Renfro, Darren Waller. Hunter Renfro is definitely one of those secure flex spot kind of guys. He's currently, I think, the wide receiver 22, 23. But we just don't know what they're going to do. They could just come out and just be with all the Gruden stuff, and I don't know why they decided to hire a special teams coach when you have Tom Cable there and a couple other coaches that have been head coaches. They decided that they wanted to go with a special teams coordinator who's had zero head coaching experience. Hasn't been more than a special teams coordinator. I don't know what that was about, but it's hard to get a fantasy gauge until we actually see this team in action. And then Denver, we're definitely going Cortland, Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams maybe in the flex, and that's probably it. And then I'll go Denver in the victory. I don't even know if the Raiders will win another game this year with all that turmoil going on. And then with Dallas and New England, Dallas, Dak Prescott, Mari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, some spots Tony Pollard, and then, of course, Dalton Schultz. New England, Jacoby Myers in a flex. That's about it. And I'm going to go Dallas in this game.
Bill, what's up with the Raiders, man? Are you feeling like Mike?
I am feeling differently from Mike because I think this will be a big old exhale. I think that there'll be some, we'll show him that we didn't need his ass going on. I think once again, off air or something, I'll tell you some stories from players I know who played for John Gruden. And he's one of those guys that like to stir it, right? Stir it. And while some guys do respond to that or what have you, it definitely rubs some guys the wrong way. I'm promising you, there's some dudes who are thrilled that he's gone on that team.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Mark
my
word.
Max Crosby's definitely happy that he's gone.
Carl Nassib, I'm sure, is not sad to see him.
I'm sorry. You're right. I should. I meant Carlson. Yeah.
Well, you might be right about Max too, but yeah, Carl Nassib for sure. Right. Some of those guys can't wait to show that he wasn't what made this team go. I will not be surprised at all if they play inspired football, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the best total game they put in as a team together. I won't be surprised one bit. Why did Rich Bisaccia get the call? He is respected both within the coaching staff and by all of the players. And he's sort of I won't say he's not a Gruden guy because obviously, Gruden is the one that gave him his first special teams coordinator position back when they were together in Tampa Bay.
He worked for the man for 20 years.
Right. Well, not 20 continuous years, but yes, they've worked together before. The difference, though, is in how he relates to players. And I think
that's like saying I shot a gun before.
Well, right. But the point I'm making is that I believe, and once again, we'll see if I'm right or wrong, that he's a guy that takes more of I think he believes more in empowering players. I think he believes more in that the players let them play, right? I think you'll see guys play freer. I think he'll coach with a much lighter hand, I guess is what all that was to say. I think he'll leave position coaches and coordinators to do most of their work. And I think he will talk to the coaches more than he talks to the players about whatever concerns or questions he might have. I believe that's what we'll see. And I believe that's why he was chosen. And like I said, either I'll look like a genius or I'll look like an absolute idiot. So if I look like an absolute idiot, I'll get to talk about that next week.
Won't be the
And
only
then
lay the crow on the table.
yes, you may begin doing whatever it is you do to saute or marinate. But
I'm gonna
I might
marinate
not be
this
the one.
one.
But I might not be the one eating it. So we'll see.
That's true. That's true.
And
But
what was the?
but when you like fire Jesus and hire Peter, yeah, I mean, well, that's just a bit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure, I see what you're saying there, but Peter might have gotten more out of the team at times simply because he wasn't so involved in everything. Sometimes less is more when it comes to coaching. We'll see if I'm right or wrong with that. And what was the other game?
The other game was Dallas at New England.
That's another game that's going to be far closer than people think. I don't know what the line is on it, but I think that's ends up being a 3 or 4 point game. But yeah, I am going to pick the better team, but I truly believe it's going to be a tight game all the way. But yeah, Dallas close.
You kind of nailed it. You said a 3 or 4 point game. The line is 3.5.
Oh, well then I should do this. Yeah.
You did do it.
Well, they nailed it. That's where the game is. 3 and a hook. Ooh, that's exactly where the game is. Oh, those guys, man, no wonder they have such big buildings out there. Yes.
Well, guys, I guess this is my second helping you, Crow, because I'm thinking things might be looking up for the Steelers a little bit here, and I'm thinking that after that win last week, and no Russ, we could possibly do this two in a row here. In spite of bad picks, or well, anyway. So, Mike, Seattle at Pittsburgh, and Buffalo at Tennessee.
So for the Sunday night game, Seahawks and Steelers, outside of DK Metcalf and maybe Alex Collins, I don't think. I mean, I would like to say Tyler Lockett, but Geno Smith throwing the ball, you're just kind of like, I don't even know how good DK Metcalf is going to come out of this game. And then throw in the Steelers defense as well. It doesn't have a great recipe for success there. And then Pittsburgh, Najee Harris, absolutely. Deontay Johnson. I'm interested to see who's going to be the slot receiver now that Juju Smith-Schuster, if it's going to be Pat Freiermuth, maybe they've talked about. And if it's Pat Freiermuth, he might be a worthy tight end play. And then maybe Chase Claypool, depends on the situation, but I really don't like that. And then I will pick Steelers for the victory there. And then moving on to
Monday. Insured yourself another 4 weeks on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's good news. And on Monday night, Buffalo and Tennessee. I think Buffalo, you got to go Josh Allen. I don't know what Stephon Diggs is, but you picked him like in the first or second round, so you have to. I hate having to do something, but you're just hoping that Stephon Diggs turns it around. He only has 1 touchdown this year. It's just it's a complete opposite of what he was last year. So, with that said,
if somebody told you that Tyler Higbee was going to have 2 more touchdowns than Diggs at this point in the season, you would think they were nuts, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'd just be like, okay, I'll take that bet. And then I would avoid the running back situation there, but they're tight end. It's not Tyler Croft. It's who's the Buffalo Bills tight end?
You're talking about the kid from Ole Miss. You're talking about Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox, yeah, thank you. He's an absolute start. He's been amazing this year. And then as far as Tennessee goes, Derrick Henry and AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I feel less about AJ Brown than I do about Stephon Diggs right now. But yeah, AJ Brown you got to go with as well in the hopes of something. And
yeah, because Juju's a scratch, right?
Yeah, Juju's out for the rest of the year.
Yep.
So I'll go AJ Brown. Why not?
Like I said, he's on my bench beside Thielen, so you can start. You can start. Let me know how many points you get. Anyway, so Bill, uh, give it to us here.
So watch for somebody weird to have a good game for Seattle, like somebody you're not expecting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Watch out for the breakout Gerald Everett game. You know what I mean? like what? 12 points from Gerald Everett. Yeah, but
I'm starting to steal the defense, and I'm looking for 2 interceptions and one to go all the way back.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, your lips to God's ears. I'd love to see that.
It's a Freddie Swain game.
Yeah, all right. Could be a Freddie Swain or Penny Hart. Somebody
Penny
that
Hart.
nobody. Right.
No,
one of those.
It's my faith in Geno Smith. That's what it is, guys.
Well, I mean, it's not so much Geno to me. I think Russ covered up a lot of dysfunction in their offense. And I've taken their offensive coordinators and coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball to task on multiple occasions. And because Russ is Russ, he covered a lot of that up, which is why Russ, was dissatisfied with certain things because they essentially expected him to take a lot of stuff that wasn't great and make it look better than it was. And when the Russ, covering, when the frosting is peeled away, you see the cake's not that good.
Yep.
Right? So it's not so much Geno. Geno was actually doing a decent job of operating the offense. And it was a miscommunication between he and the receiver on that one play. It wasn't like he did something bad. It was that they didn't have, once again,
Lockett slipped.
The reps. Right. It was a lack of reps. They hadn't repped together enough to be able to communicate on the fly. Hey, I'm going to do this instead of the thing that was called when we called the play. And you can't. It's hard to do that when you don't get reps. But now he's going to get starters reps. So I don't think Geno's going to play horribly, but they don't have a good offense. That's what I think people are going to begin to realize. Oh, their offensive line isn't good. Oh, they don't have great play calling. Oh, they don't do much to scheme things open. Oh, I mean, they're the anti-Rams, right? The Rams do all these things to make their quarterback look good, while Seattle does all these things to make their quarterback work hard. I'm not sure why they do that, but if they like it, I love it. Yeah, definitely the Steelers, and probably by about, 9 points or so. I think it's a lower scoring game, but I do believe that obviously the Steelers have more ability to score points than the Seattle Seahawks do. And the other game was
Buffalo at Tennessee.
Oh yeah, Buffalo. I'm trying to think of who it is. It's a revenge game for somebody who's played for both teams. Who is it I'm thinking of? Well, whoever it is, enjoy your revenge game. But can't remember who it was now. But yeah, Buffalo is a really, really, really good football team. Not as good as people think, though, and that's going to be revealed later. I think they're going to kind of sort of pull up lame down the stretch a little bit and not look as good, but they're off to a great start. They have a lot of talent, and they've covered up certain things. But Josh Allen, and I predicted this last year, even while everyone was talking about how great he was, I think that's sort of an outlier year. I think he's going to be still a really good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but not elite. I don't think that's what he really is, and I think people underestimated him. I think a lot of offensive stuff they whipped out. The defenses weren't ready for last year, and defenses are watching film and adjusting. But he's still a solid start. And of course, I'm starting him because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. I think he's going to be a solid 22, 23, 20, somewhere in that range kind of player week in and week out, but not elite. But yeah, they're just a better team.
Your game of the week and your offensive player of the week.
Game of the week. Well, it could be actually, let me think about this before I speak, because I was just about to go sort of shoot from the hip, but I probably should actually give this some thought, shouldn't I? If you're talking about the most, the one that has the greatest implications, as people like to say, in terms of how the season turns out, that might be the Cardinals game. But in terms of like action, fun, a lot of stuff happening, it's probably the Chiefs game, right? So how do you define game of the week? If it's just in terms of the most amount of different stuff happening, then I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But if it's terms of the one that has the greatest impact on the outcome of this NFL season, I'm going to go with the Cardinals game.
And your offensive player of the week.
I'm going to go with. Okay, big bounce back for Patrick Lavon Mahomes Jr. I think he has a big, giant bounce back, like 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, kind of bounce back. 323 yards on 28 of 33.
And of course, we open up with fantasy football. So your fantasy football player of the week.
Same dude. Same dude. 4 touchdowns rushing, 1 touchdown passing, 28 of 33. I mean, that should get it done. I don't know who's going to outscore that. I think that's going to be the guy who puts up the best fantasy week.
All right, man. Well, hey, as usual, Bill, great conversation, great insights, and hey, man, I'm starting to like this little Saturday show pretty good here. You know? But Mike, take us home, man. Your game of the week, your offensive player of the week, and your fantasy football player of the week.
So I'm kind of a traditionalist. And Green Bay and Chicago are playing each other. So I think that will, as far as history goes, that is definitely a lot of rivalry there. I'm going to pick that one. I think the most exciting game will probably be Chargers in Baltimore. That would be pretty fun, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as the player of the week, I definitely like James Robinson against that Miami's front.
That's a good call.
And then Najee Harris in the fantasy world.
All right.
Will be my fantasy player.
What is that? Is that at least
you added 4 weeks just a moment ago, James?
Is that more than salt? I mean, at least if you're going to put salt in the wound, make it a brand name. I mean, you know.
I'll put a little Tabasco in there with a little salt and just rub it all in there.
All right, guys. Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, man, and we'll talk Thursday. Bill,
yep.
Mike, hopefully Bill will be eating the crow next week. I've had a main dish and a side dish. I didn't even know you could have crow for dessert. Anyway, hey, great show, guys. I'll see you all next week, man.
Yes, sir.
Weekend, gentlemen.
Thank you too. Right. Talk to you soon, gentlemen.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
Hey, Bill, so I'll reach out to Demetrius.
Yeah, let me know if you're gonna be still available Monday. Remember?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I wouldn't pencil me in yet. I've got some other stuff going on. I don't know exactly when it'll end, but I should know by noonish on Monday what's actually going to happen the rest of that day.
All right.
As I may have mentioned before, they fired everybody in my department but me.
Yeah.
So, did I mention that? Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that needs to be done in my whole department at my job, I'm the one doing it. I have to schedule it. I have to do all the confirmations. I have to do the presentation.